in the heart of the bustling city. Nestled amidst towering buildings and the ceaseless hum of traffic, stood an old apartment block. Its worn facade bore silent witness to countless stories that had unfolded within its four walls over the years. Among its many inhabitants was Marina, who had recently moved into one of the apartments seeking a fresh start in the concrete jungle. But little did she know that her new home held a secret, a chilling secret that would soon unravel, turning her life into a nightmare. Marina, a young woman with dreams as big as the city itself, had found solace in the anonymity offered by the towering apartment complex. To her, it was just another city building, a place where she could blend in and carve out her own path in life. She had no way of knowing that the building had its own story, a story that now had a new chapter to unfold with her arrival. As dusk settled and twilight painted the sky in hues of purple and gray, Marina made her way to her apartment. With each step, the city's symphony swelled around her, a melody of car horns, distant sirens, and the murmur of evening conversations. But as she reached the threshold of her apartment, a discordant note crept into the harmony. The hallway light flickered ominously, casting grotesque shadows that danced on the walls, as if animated by an unseen force. It was a subtle shift, a minor tremor in the fabric of normalcy, yet it signaled the beginning of a sinister narrative. Pushing open the door, she stepped inside, and the city sounds faded away, replaced by an unnerving silence. The apartment seemed to hold its breath, the air thick with anticipation. As she moved through the rooms, the shadows grew longer, stretching towards her like grasping claws. Then, in the stillness of the night, as Marina stood in the darkest corner of her room, she heard a whisper. It was faint, almost inaudible, yet carried a distinct resonance that sent chills down her spine. The word echoed softly, yet clearly, as if spoken directly into her ear. "Marina," it whispered, "I'm close." Terror surged through her veins, her heart pounding against her ribs like a trapped bird. Her breath hitched, threatening to give away her terror. Hands trembled, not from fear, but from a desperate need to capture the moment, to anchor herself to reality. The whisper had been so precise, so intimate, that it shattered the illusion of her solitude, replacing it with a bone-chilling realization. Someone or something was present, lurking in the recesses of her new home. She turned on the light, flooding the room with brightness, dispelling the shadows, yet finding no answers. The room was empty. The whisper seemed to have come from nowhere. Had it been a figment of her imagination, a trick of the night? The rational part of her wanted to believe that. Yet the primal fear that had seized her spoke otherwise. There was something in the room with her that night. Sleep evaded Marina. As the hours crawled by, the silence grew louder, punctuated only by the relentless ticking of the clock. Every creak of the old building, every sigh of wind against the window pane sent fresh jolts of fear through her. The darkness was oppressive, pressing against her like a tangible entity, and the whispering shadows seemed to mock her growing panic. And then, just as the first rays of dawn began to paint the eastern sky, she heard it again, the whisper. Closer this time, it seemed to emanate from the doorway. "Marina," it breathed, "I'm close." With that, a dark shape flickered in the corner of her vision. A shadow, tall and slender, detached from the darkness itself, glided towards her. It moved with an eerie grace, silent and swift, and vanished before she could make sense of its form. For a moment she was rooted to the spot, paralyzed by a potent mix of terror and disbelief. Was she dreaming? Was this a hallucination born of stress and an overactive imagination? Or was there a real malevolent presence in her midst? The rational part of her mind screamed for her to snap out of it, to dismiss it as a figment of her overtaxed senses. But deep down, a primal instinct, an ancient part of her being, sensed the truth. She was not alone. Something unseen, something sinister was sharing her space, feeding off her fear. Days turned into weeks, and the eerie occurrences continued unabated. Each night brought with it a renewed sense of dread. The shadow grew bolder, venturing closer, brushing against her, sometimes even momentarily solidifying into a discernible form. Its presence was a constant torment, a specter haunting her waking moments and seeping into her dreams. Sleep offered no respite. Instead, it provided a canvas for the shadow to twist and distort reality. In her dreams, it would coalesce into grotesque shapes, whispering insidious words that scraped against her sanity. She was not alone in this. She could feel its presence, a palpable weight in the room with her, sometimes brushing against her, its touch as cold as ice, leaving goosebumps in its wake. Other times it would manifest in small, unsettling ways, a book falling from a shelf, a glass rolling off a table, doors opening in the middle of the night, all without a shred of evidence, a gentle breeze or an open window to explain. Desperation clawed at Marina's resolve. Fear threatened to consume her, turning her into a prisoner in her own home. She needed answers, a semblance of control in this terrifying ordeal. But where could she turn? What help could be offered for a problem that defied logic and reason? She considered leaving, fleeing from the clutches of this unseen menace. But how could she escape something that seemed to be inextricably woven into the very fabric of her existence? In a moment of sheer terror, she fled to the bathroom, locking the door and drawing the curtains. Only when she was sure that nothing could penetrate this small sanctuary did she allow herself to catch her breath. Days bled into nights, and with each passing hour, the shadow's presence intensified. The whispers grew louder, more insistent. It was as though the entity inhabiting the shadow was growing bolder, reveling in Marina's mounting terror. One night, as Marina lay huddled in the fetal position in her bed, the shadow loomed over her, coiling itself around her like a shroud. In a voice that echoed with an otherworldly resonance, it hissed, "You cannot leave me, Marina. We are bound together." The words were a venomous caress, seeping into her bones, chilling her to the core. "I am a part of you, and you are a part of me. We are one." Panic surged through her veins, drowning out the shadow's words. She thrashed wildly, trying to free herself from the invisible bonds that held her. But the more she struggled, the tighter the grip seemed to become. It was as though the very essence of her being was being pulled, distorted, consumed. Then, as if sensing her mounting terror, the shadow pressed closer, its voice dropping to a low growl. "Do not resist, Marina. It is pointless. Embrace me. Become me." The words hung in the air, heavy with menace. The shadow enveloped her, and in that moment, Marina felt her consciousness ebbing away, replaced by an overwhelming void. When the pale light of dawn finally filtered through the gaps in the curtains, Marina's apartment was eerily silent. The only sound, the faint hum of the city slowly awakening. But within the confines of that room, something had shifted, changed, leaving behind a haunting emptiness where a young woman's laughter had echoed just days before. If you enjoyed this terrifying tale, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe for more spine-chilling stories that will keep you up at night. And if you've already subscribed, take a moment to watch this chilling story about a hitchhiker who picks up a mysterious girl only to discover a horrifying secret. Thanks for watching.